They came by the hundreds, then by the thousands. Crawling, chewing, nesting, turning ordinary homes into living nightmares. This isn't just gross, it's war. From kitchens overrun with cockroaches to walls alive with rats, these are the top 5 worst pest infestations ever caught on camera. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Number 5. Our first nightmare comes from the land where everything is trying to kill you, Australia. In a quiet Melbourne suburb, a routine pest control job turned into a full-blown wasp apocalypse.
In an abandoned house in Melbourne, Australia.
The footage you're seeing was captured by TikToker at Pest Control, run by expert exterminator Dale Armel. Dale was expecting a standard checkup, but what he found inside this seemingly abandoned house was one of the largest wasp infestations ever recorded. An enormous nest had taken over an entire bathroom. But that's not all. The wasps had colonized the walls, the floor, the very structure of the house. Why? Because the home had been left untouched for nearly 12 months. A perfect sanctuary for these stingers to multiply without disturbance. Dale estimated over 30,000 wasps were living inside the property.
Here are some of the wasps that have perished from the treatment days prior.
It took him 2 whole days to eliminate the infestation. That's 48 hours of buzzing, biting, and battling a living, stinging swarm. And trust us, it's only going to get worse from here. Number 4. Imagine coming home after a long, exhausting day. You reach the light switch, flick, and what greets you is not peace and quiet, but a living storm of wings. That's exactly what happened to Sean Ramsey, a resident of New Orleans.
Excuse my language, but look at this. My whole house, man. Look at this. Millions, thousands, millions.
The walls, the ceiling, the furniture, everything was crawling with flying termites. These aren't just bugs, they're called alates, the reproductive members of a termite colony. Once a year, under warm, humid conditions, they emerge by the thousands to find mates and start new colonies. And it means one terrifying thing. An established colony is already inside. As Sean looked around in horror, they were everywhere. In his living room, in his kitchen, even in his water cup, which, disturbingly, he took a sip for before realizing.
Oh! The moment I felt them termites in my mouth, I spewed the drink out.
These termites didn't just fly in through a window. No, they chewed their way in, tunneling through wooden beams, squeezing through foundation cracks. And once inside, they got trapped, turning his home into a tomb for thousands of dying insects. A termite swarm this intense is extremely rare, especially indoors. And the damage they leave behind? It might already be eating your house from the inside out. Number 3. If there's one pest that makes my skin crawl, it's bedbugs. These aren't seasonal invaders or always come with poor hygiene like our previous cases. What's worse, their food source isn't the breadcrumbs stuck under your couch. It's your own body. They live in your mattress, your couch, your walls, waiting for you to fall asleep. A single pregnant female can quickly escalate into an overwhelming problem. And once established, eradication requires extreme measures, demanding persistence and precision. Our next case is a nightmare made real. In 2010, a team from K9 Bedbug Investigations entered a Syracuse home in New York State. Warning: the following scene contains graphic depictions of pest activity.
Didn't even have to inspect for them. We found a huge population of them.
What do they find? Not just a bedroom, it's an ecosystem. The mattress wasn't just infested, it was alive. Bed bugs had claimed every seam, every crevice, multiplying, feeding, and leaving behind dark fecal trails and shed skins. They climbed the walls. They hid in curtains. Even the bed frame and nearby furniture had become part of their hive. Lifting the mattress revealed a swarming mass, a dark, writhing carpet of bugs and waste. It was no longer a bed. It was a colony. It only takes one, and once they're in, weeks of extreme treatment, including heat above 118 degrees Fahrenheit, is the only way out. This was more than an infestation. It was a war zone in the dark, where peace had been completely devoured. Although we can't find a follow-up on the K9 bedbug investigation, the team will have to deal with this bedbug situation rigorously. with weeks of follow-up treatment to completely get rid of the infestation. Number 2. In 2020 and 2021, while the world battled a global pandemic, Australia faced a horror of a different kind. Not a virus, not a storm, but a living tide of rats and mice. It started in the farmlands of New South Wales, Queensland, and Victoria. A mouse here, a nest there, then suddenly millions. The rodents overran homes, grain silos, schools, even hospitals. They chewed through electrical wires, contaminated food, and filled water tanks with disease-ridden carcasses. Families reported mice crawling on their faces at night. People were bitten in their sleep. One farmer opened a drawer, only to unleash a writhing mass of rodents. The psychological toll was devastating.
To the point where we want to burn the house down because they are just everywhere. They're using this beam, which they have been chewing on. Here they use that as like a ramp to get from outside. They walk across the curtain rod. Got a hole there.
So what caused this outbreak? A perfect storm. Years of drought followed by record rains. That brought lush crops and a breeding paradise for rodents. Mice can reproduce every 21 days, and with no predators in sight, they multiplied out of control. But eventually, nature fought back. As winter came, so did flooding and colder temperatures. Rodenticide programs, upgraded grain storage, and natural die-offs helped slow the surge. After nearly a year of chaos, the swarm began to fade. But for those who lived through it, the trauma lingers. This wasn't just a pest problem. It was a plague, one that turned rural Australia into a living nightmare. Number 1. Our number 1 entry takes us to a place so overrun, so disturbing, it left even a seasoned pest expert speechless. If you've made it this far into the video, first of all, you're a legend. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to give it a like, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for more shocking, skin-crawling content every week. It really helps the channel grow. The footage comes from YouTuber Dan the Bugman, a professional exterminator known for documenting extreme infestations. On this day, Dan arrived at a home in an unspecified location, expecting a routine job. But from the moment he stepped onto the front porch, he knew this was something else entirely.
So I just got here, I talked to the neighbor, I was talking to them on the front porch, and I got a whiff. I got a whiff of the roaches from outside. And I was looking at the window here, and I noticed a couple of roaches like stuck to that piece of tape. And, well, now that I'm looking even closer, there's roaches just kind of everywhere.
He was immediately hit by a putrid smell, a stench that only comes from one thing: cockroaches. Even before entering, he could already see them crawling on the windows, the door frames, every surface outside the house. But once he stepped inside, reality hit hard. This wasn't just a bad infestation. It was the worst case Dan had ever seen. Roaches were everywhere, crawling across the floors, scaling the walls, hanging from the ceiling, hiding behind tables, and even infesting a purse on the ground. Every nook, every cranny, every surface was alive with movement. At one point, Dan grabs a makeshift broom hanging on the wall and slams it down on the front yard. And only then do we grasp the true scale of this infestation.
Very carefully. They're falling to the ground. They're about to get on my hand. Come on, baby, come on. All right, here we go. 1, 2. Holy shoot! Dude! They're still coming out!
Roaches burst out like a wave. But the horror didn't stop there. As Dan moved through the house, he entered the bedroom, and what he saw was nothing short of nightmarish. Not only was the home infested with cockroaches, it was also crawling with bed bugs, possibly one of the worst dual infestations ever caught on camera.
Here. Oh my god. All right, here's her bed. He or she, I'm not quite sure. I think it's a she. Lives here, but I mean, this is the pillow that she sleeps on nightly. Alright, look. There's a bed bug. There's a cockroach. In some ways, they do look similar.
The mattress, the box spring, the frame, all riddled with bugs. As he peeled back the sheets, bloodstains, fecal spots, and shed skins marked every inch. Dan even reflects. How could anyone let it get this bad? The truth is, it's not just neglect. Letting a home become a habitat and food source for this level of infestation points to deep psychological distress. But didn't end with bugs. Due to the exploding insect population, the home had become a miniature ecosystem. Spiders thrived inside.
And the spiders are feeding on the roaches. That's a cellar spider.
Feeding on the roaches and bedbugs. And if that wasn't enough, it was also infested with mice.
Roaches in there, but guys, that's caused from mice. Like all that's a mice nest in here. Mice activity.
At several points, Dan could be seen feeling overwhelmed and hopeless. Even a veteran like him had to pause. This was beyond his wildest imagination. But despite the chaos, Dan didn't give up. In a follow-up visit, he returned with reinforcements and managed to exterminate the majority of the cockroach population.
Those roaches are gone. All of the roaches around this wire under there, I don't see a single live roach.
This case is a terrifying reminder. Sometimes, pest control isn't just about bugs. It's about confronting a nightmare that someone has been living in for far too long. Thank you for watching.